Hello everyone, welcome to Late Night Football. We are a new channel started by myself, Matt, and my friend Inka. And basically, what we're going to be doing is just talking about football, especially the Premier League, stuff like FPL and all of that. Today, because it's the start of the Premier League, what we're going to do is predict the Premier League table from 20th to 1st. Myself and Inka will both do it. And there's going to be a forfeit at the end of it, or whoever loses, and we're going to come up with that a bit later. So let's get into it. So onto the picks now. I'm sorry to say, but in 20th position this season, I have Sheffield United. So I'm really sorry to the Sheffield United fans, but I've done a lot of research on all of this, and Sheffield United is probably the most popular pick in 20th position. I hope they do better, honestly. I always love a newly promoted team to do well. But if you look at the likes of the people they got in, they've gotten people just from like lower leagues that haven't really had much experience in the Premier League, like Ollie McBurney. They did get in Elise Musset, who is a really quality striker, has a bright future ahead of him. But I don't think he's going to do much, and he hasn't really proven himself at Bournemouth, but obviously he's had King and Wilson to compete with, but still think he's very inexperienced. And also they have got Ahmed Besic. I think it was yesterday, just before the transfer deadline ended, who's also a really quality player, but they don't really have much quality in their team, and this is why I've put them at 20th. Now in 19th position, I've picked Brighton. I think they were very lucky to stay up last season, even though they got off to a really good start. For me, the biggest loss is Chris Hughton. He just knows how to stay up in the Premier League. They've also made a lot of signings, but once again, signings from the Championship, like Malpay and Adam Webster. But yeah, again, I just don't think they have enough quality, and they haven't really strengthened in the right areas. So I've got Brighton at 19th. Now to round off the relegation zones, I have Norwich City in 18th. Now I know they did win the championship last season; they had a really good season, but once again, they haven't really strengthened their squad. They've got a couple signings in here and there, but I just don't see them staying up, to be honest. Of course, they have a good team, and unlike Fulham last season, they haven't really like reshaped it, and they could do really well. But I just don't see them staying up this season, to be honest. So the team I have in 17th, and to just miss the drop zone, are Newcastle. Now they have spent money, like bringing in Joel Linton from Hoffenheim, who I think is a great player, and he could have gone to a bigger club than Newcastle. But why I have them in 17th is because they've lost Rafa. Now, Rafa is an excellent coach. He's coached at likes of Liverpool, Real Madrid, and to not back him and give him the funds that he wanted was, for me, a huge mistake by Newcastle. And that's why I think, well, the reason I think they'll stay up is because of the quality in their squad, but I don't think they're going to do well because I don't think Steve Bruce is anywhere near as good as Rafa. Now the team I have in 16th, who are actually a really exciting prospect for this season, are Aston Villa. Fulham last year, if I'm not mistaken, became the first promoted team to spend over 100 million once being promoted, and Aston Villa have now become the second, spending even more than Fulham, around 140 million. And they've really not just spent it on one or two players. They've really broadened their horizons. They've signed about, I think, 8 or so players just to improve their squad, and I think this is really good, as it's going to give their old squad a bit of a run for their money in terms of positions. And they've signed really good quality, such as Wesley from Club Brugge, who I think was also really good, a really quality player. He could have been playing for a top 7, top 8 side. So I think that was a really good signing for them. And this is why they're in 16th. Now the team I have in 15th are Burnley. So Burnley in the first half of last season were really poor, but they really picked it up towards the end, and their form at the last probably third of the season was extremely good. And I don't have them in as high as 15th because necessarily of their signings. They didn't really make many signings, but because of their manager, I think Sean Dyche just knows how to do it in the Premier League. He just keeps it compact and solid, and that's why I think they'll finish 15th. Now on 14th, I have Crystal Palace. So I think personally Crystal Palace is an extremely good club and they could finish a lot higher. But why I don't think they will is because they haven't really strengthened their squad, and they've got guys like Zaha who really wants to leave, and if he leaves, or he's staying now, but if he leaves in the next transfer window, he's going to be a huge blow to them. I just can't believe they haven't really strengthened their squad. I guess in the last summer transfer window they really did spend a lot of money, but they just haven't strengthened the squad, and I think other squads have got a lot better than theirs. That's why I put them as low as 14th. In 13th, I have Southampton. So Southampton, again, really good club. They usually lose a lot of their players to the likes of the bigger clubs like Liverpool, and they've done really well this time around to hang on to a lot of their big players, including securing the signing of Danny Ings, who was immense for them at the back of last season. Probably why I don't have them higher is because they're really inconsistent. You never know what you're going to get from Southampton. But I think Rolf Hasenhüttl was a really good managerial swap for them, and I think they're going to do decently this season. Okay, so in 12th I have Watford. Now Watford could finish anywhere from 12th to 8th in my opinion, or 7th. They have really good players such as Pereira, Doucouré, Deulofeu. They have a really good squad at the moment, and they've also improved. They signed I think Saw yesterday. Who was it from? Ren. And then they also signed Danny Welbeck on a free, which I think is an absolutely amazing signing. But I think they'll be solid this season, finishing around 12th. So I have an 11th to finish 11th is West Ham. So West Ham I think are going to be a really exciting side this season. They've kind of like flushed out their squad of all the players they didn't really need, all their fringe players, like such as Samir Nasri, but they did lose Marko Arnautovic, which will be a big blow for them because he's been, I think, over the last years their top goal scorer. But then they brought in the likes of Sebastian Haller, who I think is an amazing player, great number 9. And then also they brought in Pablo Fornals, who I think is also a great player from La Liga. So they've kind of like flushed out their squad and just bought players in like the positions they really need. So they could even finish high 11th, but I'm backing them to finish around 11th. To start off the top 10, in the 10th position I have Bournemouth. Now I think many people might disagree with me that they'll finish this high, but in my opinion they're one of the lower teams that plays the best brand of football. I love Eddie Howe's brand of football, their attacking style, and this is why this season I think they'll do especially well. They've also just kind of flushed out their squad and then brought in just a few players in order to strengthen it. I think Harry Wilson as a backup or to rival the likes of Brooks is a great loan signing from Liverpool, and I actually really hope they do really well this season. Now the side I have to finish in 9th place is Leicester City. Now although they did lose arguably one of their best players, Harry Maguire, to Man United, that was extremely good business for them. They received 80 million for him, and I personally don't think it was worth that much. But they used that money to spend on this, securing the signing of Yuri Tielemans, who I think is an amazing player, and also Jose Perez as another strike partner for Jamie Vardy. And I think if this season Jamie Vardy keeps scoring the way he does in the last few, I think they can even push for a Europa League spot this season. Now deciding between 7th and 8th is really tough for me, but the team I have in 8th is Wolves. So Wolves, I think, are an amazing team, and they've done really well in the transfer market, securing the signing of Raul Jimenez from Benfica, who was immense for them last season, as well as Dendonka. They haven't done much other big business, but they've also just strengthened their squad in certain areas. And I think Nuno Espirito Santo is an amazing coach, and I think they'll easily be in the top 10 this season. Now on 7th spot, I have Everton. Now, Everton are looking very strong this season. I mean, they've signed the likes of Moise Keane, Gabami, the central defensive mid, Alex Iwobi, and they signed Andre Gomes on a permanent deal this year. I mean, they are looking absolutely fire this season. I wouldn't even be surprised if they snuck their way into the top 6, but at the moment I think that top 6 is pretty set. But just all I'm going to say is watch out for Everton this season. I think they're going to do really well. Now, the top 6 were really hard to decide, but in 6th position I have Arsenal. And the reason I have Arsenal is not because they haven't done anything in the transfer market. They've done exceptionally well in it, signing the likes of Nicolas Pepe, David Luiz, Kieran Tierney, and Danny Ceballos. But in my opinion, they already had a good enough attack. They didn't really need to strengthen that. What they did need to do was really strengthen their central defensive position. And you may be telling me that David Luiz is a really their guy they needed to strengthen out that position, but in my opinion he's not the best defender. They needed a really solid guy that's not going to make mistakes like David Luiz does, because him alongside Mustafi I don't think are going to be really secure and solid, and that's why I think in the top 6 games they'll really struggle, because they're going to leak goals. That's why I have them in 6th. Now in 5th position I have Chelsea, just missing on the top 4, and the reasons I have them as 5th is they obviously had a transfer ban. They couldn't really make any signings except they bring in Pulisic, who they really paid for, and obviously Kovacic. The 2 main reasons that they're not going to make top 4 in my opinion is because they've lost Maurizio Sarri, who was a really excellent coach, and they brought in a really inexperienced coach in Frank Lampard, and I really hope he does well there, because he's a legend in the club. It's always nice to see that, but I think he's just too inexperienced at the moment. But I do hope they give him time, even if he doesn't do well this season, because I think what Chelsea need at the moment is to build almost like a legacy that such as what Arsene Wenger did at Arsenal, what Pep is doing at City, and what Klopp is doing at Liverpool, building like a dynasty almost. Another big reason is that they lost the likes of Eden Hazard, who was involved in 50% of their Premier League goals last season. Now, I don't know where it's going to come from in the Chelsea squad at the moment. They're all not prolific like he was. So it's going to be interesting to see, but that's why I have him in 5th. Okay, so in 4th spot, I have Manchester United. Now, a lot of people might be thinking why I've included them in the top 4, because of their form at the end of last season, because it was really poor. But the reason I have is because they've really bolstered their defense, which was definitely their weak point last season, with the likes of Harry Maguire and Wan-Bissaka, who are both really excellent players. I do feel like they did overpay for Harry Maguire, but they did get their man, and I respect them for that. So that's why I think they're just going to stick into the top 4 at 4th, because their defense is a lot more solid than both Arsenal and Chelsea. Now to finish in 3rd spot, I have Spurs. Now, Spurs are really going to push for that top 2 berth this season, and even maybe for the title, because they have an excellent squad already. Already last season, they made the final of the Champions League, and this season they've kept all those top players such as Son, Lucas Moura, Harry Kane, Christian Eriksen, Dele Alli. Well, Christian Eriksen might still leave because the European transfer window is still open, but assuming he stays, their squad is absolutely amazing. And then they've brought in Ndombele, who I think is an excellent player, and Lo Celso, also another top quality player. So what they've done is they've just bolstered their squad, and they've created competition for the likes of your Dele Allis, your Sissokos, and all those kinds of players. So I think they're going to do really well this season. That's why I put them in third spot. Okay, now we're the final two teams, and in second position, the team I support, Liverpool. So why I put Liverpool in second and City in first is solely because Liverpool just haven't done enough in this transfer window. We have signed the youngsters, Sanchez, Harvey Elliott, and Sepp van den Berg, and then just literally had a sideways move selling Mignolet and then Adrian. So we haven't really bolstered our squad, haven't really given our squad a bit more competition, and I'm quite disappointed in Liverpool. Obviously, we did spend about 250 million over the course of 6 months, about a season and a half ago now. But and I know that has affected why we haven't bought as much this time around. But City probably spend more than us, and they have just brought in two top quality players in Rodri and João Cancelo. So that's why I think Liverpool finished second. I still think our team is excellent, and our front three as well as Van Dijk are gonna help us into second. But I just can't see us pushing City, and I really can't see us even finishing as close as we did last season. Okay, so in first place I obviously have Man City. So the reason I have City is just that, in my opinion, they have the best squad in the world. Their B side, if they had to make one, would be excellent. Probably also compete for the league. And they haven't lost anyone. They've lost Fabian Delph, but he wasn't really a regular starter. And they've just brought in the likes of Angelino at left back to cover up Zinchenko. They brought in João Cancelo as competition for Walker, and they've just brought in Rodri as an understudy for Fernandinho. It's just ridiculous. Their squad is absolutely ridiculous, and I really don't see how they can't win the Premier League again. Okay, so that'll be all for today. Thank you so much for watching the video. Drop a like and a comment in the comment section below, and give us suggestions on what you think we should do next. I really hope you enjoyed the video, and see you next time.